This is Tales of Xillia 2. And if you haven't seen my review of the first Tales of Xillia, I recommend you watch that first because I'm going to be building off of basic information from that review in this one. I think this is the only other Tales sequel that has been made, direct sequel at least. So Tales of Symphonia and Dawn of the New World kind of had this thing where Dawn of the New World had two new main characters, and then the original characters from the first game were kind of supporting characters. This game does a similar thing. Those two characters on screen right there, those are the two new main characters. The guy's name is Luger, like the gun, and the girl's name is Elle. And they are the ones the story is about. The original cast from Tales of Xillia 1 end up being just supporting characters. Which is kind of weird because I felt like the first Tales of Xillia ended in a way that allowed for a sequel. Like, I want to see all the characters come back together and have another adventure. That's not really what happens here because the game is about this guy. Let me go ahead and default my colors back to normal. So yeah, the original cast does join you here, and they all got different outfits, but you can unlock their original game outfits if you want. But I'm just going to play with their new outfits. Skills are... so the first game had kind of a sphere grid-like thing that you learned your abilities from. This game does not have that. This game has allium orbs, which are these orbs that you just kind of equip. You find these orbs through like missions and on the maps and stuff. You get these orbs and you just kind of equip them to learn different skills with like experience points from battle. So I don't know, these are kind of weird because you just kind of like pick something and equip it, and it'll show you like what you can learn and get from it, and then you can of course equip them like you do in the first game. You can come in here and choose which skills you want to equip, kind of like FF9. You can choose balanced or attack defense based, similar to the first game. Let's go ahead and talk about new things. Kitty dispatch. This is a thing where you have this cat, of course, that you can send out with other cats as you find through the game to go retrieve items for you. So you can kind of choose any kind of town, dungeon, or field area, and there's like a list of items on the side there of stuff that you've found and haven't found. Now this is a list of kitties in the area. Some of the kitties you can find by just finding them yourself on the map. Some of them you can only find by dispatching. They aren't like either or, like they're either found on the map by you or they're found through the dispatch, and it doesn't indicate here which is which. You just kind of have to go with it or use a guide. But yeah, you can also use an item to kind of increase your chances of finding good stuff, or just having the search be quicker. But yeah, you just send them out and it'll return after like, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, something like that. Elle is a non-player character. Luger, he is a silent protagonist, which is really weird for a Tales game because in every other Tales game I've played, like all the characters are like characters. This is the only Tales game I know of where the main character is silent. Oh, I just got back attacked. So let's go ahead and talk about battle mechanics. They're pretty much exactly the same. If I can go ahead real quick and turn all my CPUs to off. So you've got Luger. He is, I guess he's kind of interesting to play as because he's got different weapons. He's got his regular swords, which you can see move around like that. And then he's also got like a staff or like a hammer kind of thing. He's got some moves with that. And then he's also got guns. So you can kind of switch around depending on like what kind of enemies you're fighting. He is definitely a lot slower mobility-wise when he's got his guns out. What else is unique about Luger, why you probably should play as him throughout the game, is because that meter, or that circle in the bottom right where it has a 1, that has been built up. When that is full, it does go up as you go through the game. It does go to like 2 and 3, but right now it only goes up to 1 because it's early in the game still. When you have that full, you can transform. And there is a story reason, of course, why Luger transforms, but when he does, you're only playing as Luger. Like, your other party members are gone, and it's just him in battle. And L will talk for you at the end of battles. Like Luger, again, he doesn't talk. It's just weird. I mean, he'll say like small things like yeah or no, or he'll sigh, but for the most part, he pretty much doesn't talk.
Man, I feel good.
And it's just really weird. Again, these little things on the that are lying around, like it's right in front of me, but unless the camera's in a good position, I can't pick it up. Oh, I'm full on this, but I'll discard it. Those orb things right there, those are like experience points for your skills. So when you pick those up, you can learn skills. It just popped up on the screen, but then I got into a battle. So yeah, you can learn skills. Is everyone still in auto or manual? Wow, they are. So let me see if they'll revive themselves. Alright, so when you're linked, you can do these special moves. So I don't think I talked about it in the first game, but this is also in the first game, where when you're linked with characters, these moves that are marked with like a green thing, they are ones that are special to use with that character, so you can use them with other characters.
Let's break them down.
There you go. You can see on the screen I got more skill leveled up and learned. And then you can also get back attacks, like it's blue, so I got a back attack just does some damage on the enemies. Wow, Leia's not revived. Nope. Items. I got life bottles. So, when you're linked, you can, when the meter on the left gets up to each segment, you can do one of those moves. When it is full, you can do a whole bunch of them until it depletes, like I did in the last battle. But who you're linked with will determine which moves are good. See, like none of them have that green marker now. Just like that one move on my gun is what Alvin would link with. But yeah, that's in the first game. I don't think I talked about it much in the first review, but again, L will talk for Luger at the end of battles. So, all the voice actors return for this game, which is something that Dawn of the New World couldn't say. So, let me see. The structure of this game, I just mentioned, it's kind of like an open world RPG where you can kind of go, or after the first kind of early parts of the game, you can kind of go where you want and just take on missions to the story is that you're trying to repay back a debt that you take on early in the game, and so there's these missions you can take on to kind of pay off the debt. Now, if you're experienced with these open world RPGs and missions, you know you don't take on any of these item collection missions until you have what it is that they want, because then you can just turn it in right away. And the reason for that is because stuff like this, where I don't have that, I don't want to take that mission on right now, or that one, because you really just want to take on monster slaying missions, because it only counts slaying the monsters if you have the mission taken on, where the item collection ones, I can just take those on whenever I know I have the items. But I can only take like 5 missions at a time, so I want those all to be those monster slaying missions, which only work when you have the mission selected. And then when you come in here, you can report on the missions when you do them. These are super strong monsters that are just out in the field when you beat them. These are where you get the most money to pay off your debt, is by taking on some of these tough super monsters. Aside from that, your party members, they do just kind of hang out in towns when you're here. At certain points in the game, they will give you side quests, and when you take on those side quests, you are in those side quests. Much like when you're in the main story, you are in the main story. It's weird that they have it kind of separated like that. Also, I do have all these characters. I got 6 characters in my party right now, but if I'm going to go out into the field, also they add a run button. When I go out into the field, as notes right there in the bottom right of the screen, I am limiting my party to whoever's my first 4. So you can't actively change your party out in the field like you could in the first game, which is weird. I'm not sure why they did that. But when you're on missions and you need a certain party, I really don't see why they did that. I don't see why they would limit you like that. It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, you can keep exploring the world, find all these items, defeat monsters, complete missions. It's kind of weird that they took the first game's world and just turned it into an open world RPG kind of thing. But yeah, all the areas from the first game are here. At least all the regular dungeons and field areas are. There's only really a handful of new areas, like just a few new areas. And they all kind of happen in these fractured dimensions. So the story here is that there are these fractured dimensions, which are just like alternate dimensions, where you go there. In fact, we should just go ahead and advance the story. Is there anything else I want to talk about before I go to the story? No, I don't think so. Like, there's these question mark areas I could just keep exploring to find out other areas in the game. Nothing else really happens in other areas of the game that... So the first game had a lot of stuff happen, like when you get to a new area, there's stuff that goes on. In this game, you can just go to each new area one after the other, nothing happens, because it's all about taking on missions, and whenever you take on a story mission, that's when stuff happens. Like, nothing's really going to happen outside of when you know something's going to happen because you're taking on a story mission. So right now, my story is to go out back here and come into here and talk. My run, I should mention, my running button, I feel like I don't really run a whole lot faster, but I also cannot turn very much. Like, this is me holding left, and I'm barely turning left, where if I'm not running, I can turn like that. And I feel like running is like barely even faster anyway. Also, when you're running and you run into a monster, it's an automatic back attack on you. So there's that disadvantage to running. But it's there if you really want to just go a little bit faster. If we want to advance the story here, it shows up like Chapter 7. And again, this is still early in the game. Chapter 7 is not very much. There's not like only 10 chapters or something. I think there were less than 20 chapters though. But I don't think I'm almost halfway there. I don't know. Maybe the pacing is just off in my memory because of when I decided to take on a bunch of side missions and stuff. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip over this dialogue. I mean, I could skip over the cutscene, but I want to show you how dialogue options pop up. So you got your characters that you're talking with, and when you go through these cutscenes, and in some skits as well, this dialogue option will pop up. Now, the one on the left with the check mark, that is just telling me that's what I did the last time, because this is New Game Plus. Also, because this is New Game Plus, there is an option in the grade shop. It doesn't cost anything, it's 0 points. You can turn on Luger's voice for dialogue options. So originally, when you're playing through this game, Luger doesn't talk at this point. But because it's New Game Plus and I chose the option, when I choose something, Luger will now say it.
You'll help me?
So like when you're playing through the game the first time, it's just silent there. No one says anything. But now that I have New Game Plus, he talks. I don't know why that is also a New Game Plus thing. Like, this game is weird. in what it does. It's a very weird game. At least for a Tales game, it's weird. On its own, it's probably, well, even on its own, it's weird because all of these characters that join you, they have nothing to do with the main story. They're all really just side characters. Like any other Tales game, the side characters, they have more to do with the story than what these characters do in this game. The game really is just primarily about Luger and Elle and what weird thing they got going on. The story has to do with these fractured dimensions. I'll go ahead and skip now. There are these fractured dimensions where your goal, you get hired on as part of paying off your debt, is you get hired on to go on these missions to these fractured dimensions. When you go in there, it's basically just the same as your world, except you got this purple fuzzy filter on your screen the entire time you're in the fractured dimension. Also, what you have to do here is find the thing that's weird in this fractured dimension. Basically, it's just like your world, except for something, and you gotta find out what that thing is and destroy it, because that's what's causing the dimension to be fractured off of the real, I guess, your world, your dimension.
Your entry into the fractured dimension. Commence your search for the divergence catalyst.
Let's go ahead and choose one I didn't do last time.
But how do we search for it?
Allow me to explain.
We need to look for whatever seems most out of place in the
So,
dimension, right?
Correct.
this is pretty much the story. When you do side quests with your party members, sometimes it'll just be a short little conversation. Sometimes you'll go out and do something. Sometimes you'll even go to a fractured dimension. So it kind of varies there.
So the only one who can find and destroy these catalysts.
But the story does only happen like when you choose for it to happen. I mean, it's not uncommon for this structure in an open world RPG, but for a Tales game, this is kind of different. This is not what I'm expecting.
I guess there really is no turning back, huh?
So much for goofing off on the job.
And I guess I don't appreciate the change in structure from other Tales games.
Oscorp train's still running?
I mean, not that it's
Alternate dimension. The
it's not even a linear, non-linear thing, because other Tales games can have non-linear sections where you can do events in different orders and different outcomes will happen. Like in Tales of Symphonia, there's a good bunch of those in the first half of the game.
Luger, you handle Oscorp.
This game is just, I don't know, the closest thing I can think of is Xenoblade Chronicles X. I mean, that's the only real open world RPG with mission structure that I've played myself. I'm sure there's better examples out there that
Not at first glance, in any case.
are like this game. It's just odd. Skits are, of course, returning, and some skits will have like a dialogue option, but not all of them. If I were to skip a scene, it would bring up the dialogue option. There isn't one with that. But let's see, what am I doing here? Take a train. Oh, I'm not even in the right spot. What else is different? So yeah, you can. I think I've already said everything that's different. It's just weird that it's weird that it's so different from other Tales games in its structure. I mean, every Tales game has its own unique story and characters, but the structure is mostly the same. I mean, I guess they have a formula that they've figured out. This is one of those
There's a train station connected
unique
to the
areas.
world itself?
Again, you only visit kind of these unique areas really in Fractured Dimensions. The most interesting thing about this game would be
What's a natural
how it's not even done extremely well, but
Puts out weird vibes too.
with the Fractured Dimensions, you can meet characters who may be different in this world. Like this guy, he was I'd say a villain in the first game, and he's not necessarily here. In fact, you're not even sure at first when you meet this guy right now. These characters aren't even sure what their relationship is, but you kind of get cues what the relationship is.
It appears he has confused you with the Alvin of this world.
He looks like a bigwig to me. If you act all buddy-buddy with him, maybe he'll let us in.
They don't really have that kind of relationship.
The most interesting thing I'll just say is that you meet Amila in a fractured dimension, and when you destroy that fractured dimension, she ends up leaving with you. So you destroy her dimension and she comes with you, so you have a different Mila with you for a good chunk of the game. And, oh yeah, bonus scene. So, because I did a previous side quest with Alvin, this bonus scene is now playing. If I hadn't done that quest, it would just skipped over it and would be on to where you'll see it doesn't say that. So, doing the side quests with characters does flesh out the story in more than just the side quests themselves, so I like that idea. There's really not usually a whole lot in the bonus scenes. Right now they're all just slowly walking and talking. Other bonus scenes can be just like, oh, this is something, and then see right now it would just cut to this part if I didn't have the bonus scene playing. So I like some ideas in this game, but I don't know. The game as a whole just seems kind of meh to me because one, your main character isn't a character. He's just a silent protagonist who you're supposed to sort of imagine yourself being, even though he has some cliche traits that you don't pick for him that are, I don't know, I guess it's cliche in just any RPG that your main character has powers that they don't understand.
That was disrespectful, huh?
Let's go ahead and just skip over this instead of me talking over some other people. I guess that's pretty much all there is to say about the game. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments below. I'm definitely going to keep reviewing more Tales games. I won't be able to right away. I'm going to have to space them out just because it takes a while to play through them. But I am going to be reviewing more. So yeah, this isn't the best, this isn't the worst. It's just kind of different. Also, you really need to play the first game to really know who these characters are. You do have an encyclopedia. If you really want to know what happened in the first game, you can sit here and read through stuff. Again, the first game, oh man, the first game is great. I really like the first game. The second game is just kind of eh. And you need to play the first game to really know who these characters are, because they don't really introduce themselves too much, and they don't have any character development too much in this game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.